Well, hello there, my friend Jonathan Doyle with you once again. Welcome to the Daily Podcast. I'm pleased you are here. I say it every day, but I am stoked. I am so curious about the listeners all over the world. We have such a diverse audience. People often say, you should niche down. You should pick something really specific and just talk only about that. And I thought, well, I just think the stuff that I like to talk about is applicable for just about everybody, because most of the great principles of how to head towards the life you were created for have already been discovered. I don't think we're suddenly going to find some vast new sort of cosmic awareness about something we didn't know before. The principles of how to really move our lives forward have always been there. What I like to do is just keep sharing them with you, keep reminding you of them, keep showing you how we can apply them and use them in new ways every single day. I'm excited tomorrow. I'm going to Sydney because I'm going to be at an event with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. Some of you be familiar with him. Looking forward to hearing what he has to say. My daughter, who is only 15, has actually started her own company, and she's doing really well, and she's just a boss, and she wants to go and hear Gary V talk about entrepreneurship. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So if you're not following me on Instagram, come across to J Doyle Speaks. Just do a search there. There should be a link in the email or here on the podcast platform. You should find a link to Instagram. Come and follow that. So I'll show you the journey from about 4:30 a.m. right through the day and let you know what I learn. It's a good principle just to constantly put yourself in places where there are people that you want to hear from and who are going to push you forward. Choose your environments. I would go with Karen and the kids to various conferences every single year. I reckon I don't know how many I would do in a year. Just really big events and church conferences and motivation conferences. I just keep showing up. I'm 50 this year, but I ain't finished learning. So I do want to encourage you to put yourself in situations where you are going to be encouraged, inspired. You're going to learn stuff. Because I think in this changing world and changing economy, it's really going to be about knowledge and creativity. I think are going to be crucial. I'm doing a lot of work in the AI space, particularly as it relates to education. And, everyone's asking two questions about AI. Number one, is it going to kill us in our sleep? And two, is it going to steal my job? I don't know the answers to either of those just yet. I'll keep you posted. What I do know is that human creativity is the thing. It's a very powerful thing, and putting ourselves in situations where we are learning and growing and developing is just so crucial to being marketable, being a useful, valuable person in this changing world, changing economy. I look back to, say, the Industrial Revolution starting in the, finishing. I mean, they talk about a second Industrial Revolution, but, right through into the 1860s was just utterly disruptive, right? So probably from 1780s right the way through the invention of the steam engine. Yeah, I've been reading on this lately for a talk I'm doing in September, and it's just the disruption that took place was seismic. And so some people are saying that the AI stuff's going to be at least as big as that. Who knows? But all I'm saying at this point is keep learning, keep growing, keep choosing to know stuff, okay? And no matter how old you are, I don't care how old you are. Some of my listeners are in their 80s, some are, in their teens. But if you're an older person, a wise figure, I should say, keep learning. All right. So listen, I wanted to let you guys know, I got a cool email yesterday just about somebody who, I loved how they finished their email. Can I just read you that part? It was such a blessing to read it. So, the last line really touched me. It said, so if you ever have a day when you wonder, Jonathan, is anyone listening to this stuff or did this help anybody? The answer from me is a big resounding yes. Thanks again. And it was a beautiful email, and it was somebody who's been doing something hard. I posted on Instagram yesterday just about the crucial need of doing hard things. And this is somebody who's doing something challenging. They're doing something difficult. And the difficult things we do are relative, right? For some people, difficult is climbing Mount Everest without oxygen. For some people, difficult is not eating dessert. Seriously. And personally, I don't think there's a great deal of difference. It's just relative. It really is. I know some of you will disagree. You're going, Jonathan, you're telling me ice cream and Everest are the same. Well, existentially, yes, in the moment, if you're near the summit of Everest and you're without oxygen and you've had that goal for years, it's a huge challenge, right? It's really taken everything you've got. if you're really overweight and you're trying so hard to change your health and fitness and somebody puts a massive chocolate sundae in front of you, that's pretty hard too, friends. That's pretty hard too. So I just want to encourage all of you that it doesn't matter what your challenge is. It's just true that we're all facing difficult, hard things, and the ability to do these things and to hang on in the moment. And that's kind of what this person's email was about. And a little bit of what I want to talk with you about now is another principle that I really want you to be thinking about as you look to develop and grow in your life is so often the breakthrough point is really at the point of genuine difficulty and challenge. It's at that point of you're being really tested and stretched and you want to quit or you want to run to something, you want to avoid. I talked about that 2 days ago, where we want to go to alcohol or to the internet or to shopping or to something or food or distraction or procrastination. It just seems to be this magic that if we can endure that pain, that short-term pain, there tends to be this extraordinary benefit and payoff a little further down the line. This seems to be, my friend, a universal principle. This is just how things are. So to back that up, I want to go back to one of my all-time favorite thinkers, Alfred Adler, who I just think is quite brilliant psychotherapist and just a good guy. Like some of those psychotherapists from the 19th century on were pretty kooky. People often talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. He was a strange cat. I did a lot of postgrad work on Maslow. He spent ages in nudist colonies. Like, go figure. Hey, whatever floats your boat, right? But I was like, people are like, oh, Maslow's brilliant. Maslow had some pretty dark ideas, friends. But I like Adler. Adler was really about helping people and looking at reality. So look, here's a simple quote from Adler. He says, overcoming difficulties leads to courage, self-respect, and knowing yourself. Overcoming difficulties leads to courage, self-respect, and knowing yourself. Overcoming difficulties. So would you agree with me that the culture we inhabit is essentially therapeutic, right? It's a very therapeutic culture. We've all been raised in the idea of counseling or therapy fixes things, and there's psychopharmacological interventions, and there's people who are into avoidance, like I've said, right, who just, life's difficult, so we just sit on the couch. I mean, Netflix is like an emanation of that, right? It's like, it's cool, there's some great stuff on it, and I watch it if I'm on the training bike, but can we not agree that it's a culture that has positioned us for consumption and comfort and therapy? It's not a culture, it's really paradoxical, right? Because in some ways we celebrate and admire people who overcome difficulties and we look at them and go, wow, isn't that amazing? But in our own lives, we don't realize that the principles are the same and they're important principles. That look into your life right now, my friend. Look into your life right now. What is difficult for you? What are you avoiding? Because if you can face and overcome that difficulty, then what happens is courage. You learn to be brave. You learn to go, you know what, I did that. I fixed that. I overcame that problem. And that gives you courage for the next one and it gives you self-respect. You realize, hey, I'm the kind of person that can do this. Remember when I ran my first ultra marathon? I remember just, you just have this feeling like, like I know in the back of my head there's people that run further and they run it faster. But I was like, dude, you just ran an ultra marathon. Like, yes, it's like you get this respect for yourself that you didn't have previously. You begin to know who you are. You live through enough stuff, you overcome enough stuff, you get this confidence that you can face the future and you can give that confidence and share that confidence with other people. So today's message is simply to say, look at the difficult things in your life and ask yourself, is avoidance a strategy? And just get conscious about it. Just get conscious about it. Don't beat yourself up. Just go, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm avoiding it. I'm avoiding doing the hard thing that I don't want to. I don't know how to phrase this properly, but the longer I live, there's a paradox here because this is a motivational podcast. But the truth is that life's pretty hard. We don't talk about that enough. Like, life is hard. Like, how many of us get through completely unscathed, right? How many of us get through without losing people or illness or setback or bankruptcy or career failure or, none of us get through. None of us get through unscathed. So there is this difficulty and hardship at the core of life. This isn't heaven. We are going home to heaven. God is calling us home to heaven. Heaven is going to be, it's indescribable, right? It's going to be okay. Things are going to be good. The story ends well. If you look into the mythology, at least of Western culture, you look at the great texts. So you look at the reason why things like Tolkien's Lord of the Rings has been so powerful, because, anything that ends with the good guys winning, we like, because I think we have this intuitive sense that light will triumph over darkness, good will triumph over evil, things are going to get resolved, everything's going to be okay, but it isn't yet. While we're here, we have to struggle, we have to strive, we have to grow, and always remember that the purpose of all of this is to contribute. The reason I try to keep posting stuff, the reason I do the podcast every day, the reason I, talk about training and pushing myself and doing this stuff is because I want you to be encouraged. I want you to go, dude, that guy's 50. Jonathan's 50. I'm 49, but, I'm almost 50. If he can do this crazy stuff and if he can get up every day and do it, maybe I could do something too. So the purpose of overcoming our difficulties is not just what Adler says here, courage, self-respect, knowing yourself. It's also really about contribution, because the person you become through pushing through hard things is a better quality of person. It's a more mature, grounded, spiritual, whole person than somebody who has avoided the hardships of life. So get after it, my friend. Whatever you need to do today, whether you need to, jump online, join the gym, go for a longer walk, eat better today, make a difficult phone call you've been avoiding, spend some time telling family members that you care about them. Do something today, something difficult. Find something difficult today. When I get out of the studio, they're going to take one of my kids to school. I'm into the gym. I go to a hard leg session. Got to race home, 2-second shower. I'm going back into the National Library. I've got to finish one book on philosophical anthropology, and I need to read another 100 pages of a book on AI. And I've written those as goals. I got to get it done. Personally, I'd like to watch Netflix. I really would. I would like to just eat and sit on the couch and stretch and maybe sleep. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do some difficult things today. Difficult things. The reason I'm doing them is because the reading sows into the speaking. The speaking allows me to bless people and live a more full life. So that's me. That's what I'm going to do today. Get after it, my friend. All right. From me, please make sure you've subscribed to this podcast. It does make a difference. It really does. So hit subscribe, leave a review. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. And look, go check out the website, jonathandoyle.co.co. You can book me to speak live at your conference, school, church, business, event, whatever. Go check that out. The website's really cool. And of course, Instagram, J Doyle Speaks. J Doyle Speaks on Instagram. And there's a whole bunch of other links here that'll be a blessing to you as well. All right, my friend, thank you so much for listening in today. I'm probably going to be off the air tomorrow, but follow me on Instagram and you'll see the journey with the Gary V conference. God bless you. My name's Jonathan Doyle. This has been the Daily Podcast. You and I are going to talk again tomorrow.